Right, okay. Right, good afternoon. I'm sorry if it was short notice for some of you. I'm here today, Kimora Rose, and I'm with Janine Rose Keall today. And we were going to come on and do this on Friday, but we had some techno problems. Um, and so, welcome, Janine. We're going to talk to you about some of the different things, the different energy that we've been receiving that's been coming in the last week, and Janine's going to talk to you about colours. So, um, right, so good afternoon. Um, oh, got somebody's on. Tony Ann's here. Hello, Tony. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. So I'll go over to Janine and then I'll talk about the energy I was receiving last week and all about that in a minute. Okay, over to you, Janine.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you, Kim, for um, the share of this little live today and having the opportunity to talk about this the colours and this journal page that I did last. I think it was on that event actually. You know, when the Mount Sinai event that you were doing, and I did it that day. Was it? Was it?
It was last Tuesday, sorry, hit at the table. Last Tuesday, wasn't it? When we did the Sinai session in the evening, but in the morning you did the painting, didn't
That's
you?
right. Yeah, lost track of time.
I know. Do it all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, I've done this journal page that I was inspired to do this like that morning when I was looking at an artist's work and she does like painting the feminine, and I suddenly got inspired to do a journal page. I haven't done any journaling. I was art journaling, I should say, art journal page, which I haven't done for a while, and I felt inspired to do this as like a sort of a creative ceremony for this for the full moon, and so this is what I did. I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's beautiful. Yes, because you showed it just on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Take it out slightly. So yeah, that's it. Yes, it's because we've got the blur on. Yes. Hey, that's gorgeous. So can you tell us about, you got the moon there, haven't you? The full moon, that beaver moon we had last week.
It's all sort of connected to the moon, and I was inspired to. It was just a piece of art that just guided itself, if you will. So I was doing it really. It was very spontaneous. It wasn't like planned. It wasn't, because I do like spirit art. That's my main. These are my main offerings. But with this, it was very, very inspired, very spontaneous, and I did a lot with my non-dominant hand.
The week before, you did your picture of Hecate, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So there's sort of like, yeah,
It's sort of like been a follow-on, really. It's sort of
yeah,
just sort of snowballed since then.
So I'm going to switch Facebook off, so it keeps flicking up, and it's annoying me. I do things that, when they keep flicking up, on your screen, and it's distracting me. When somebody's sending me a message, and I'm like, something not to do with the chat. So, tell us about the two figures, the two women on the painting. How do they, what do they bring? What are they bringing into the painting?
Well, the one on the I'll just show it again. This one here in the foreground, she's like representing myself.
Yeah.
And then the other lady in the other side.
Oh yes, can you pull it that way?
I try to get it the right way.
Yeah.
It's like got a mind of its own, this. Don't be easy. The other lady on the other page. When I was writing a poem came through for this as well. And when I was actually writing the poem, I realised that the lady who was watching me in this page was like holding space for me. So she's come from like the higher realms. She's like a guide, and whilst I, in this particular picture, I'm doing like shadow work, inner work, so going inwards and connecting to the, to the pain and the wounding and all this sort of thing. And this lady's coming in, this being's coming in to actually hold space for me whilst I do that, giving me support and giving me love. And why I'm talking about this today is because I really wanted to focus on the indigo, and the actual title for this picture is called Indigo Dreaming. And the reason for me titling it in that way is because the indigo is actually about dream time. It's, it's like the manifesting and connecting to receive insights and wisdom and so ideas and inspiration from the higher realms. So this is why I wanted to talk about the indigo, because the indigos can be really helpful if you're wanting to sort of connect with your with your intuition, if you're wanting to gain insights and wisdom, higher knowledge. It's a really good colour to use for connecting in to the halls of learning.
I love the way that you work with colour. Like, I'm always very attracted to colour, and I work with colour differently to perhaps how you do. But I always love the way when you tell us about when you tell me, and tell other people about how the colours work. And it's strange,
I use colour in the spirit art. You see, when I'm actually doing portraits, the colours will come through that are just right for the recipient, and they're giving them healing. They're giving, when I do the readings for the actual spirit art, it's all around the colours, all based around the colours, because it's like colour psychology, and every colour has its own wisdom and a healing frequency as well. So like with the indigo, that's very much connected to the third eye.
That's like the third eye, yeah, because like I'll work with crystal. I used to work with crystals to do with the different chakras, and then now like I work with the flowers. Like for me, like I'll work with cornflower and lavender with indigo, and you're working with that third eye. And we had that this meditation like session that we went and connected with the people on Sinai Mountain, when with this collective group that were trying to get 1,000 women to be on the mountain, and we couldn't go, but we went. We astral traveled there through our meditation to go, and there was a lot coming in for us. We worked a lot with the third eye, didn't we, on that evening?
Yeah.
And we like the Pleiades as well, and the full moon and all the eclipse. It was like such a sort of powerhouse of energy. And then, would you like to? Have you got your poem there that connects with the painting?
I will just see if I can.
See if you can pull it up. And it was interesting because Janine talked about. I brought the indigo in, and I'd done we did the Sinai tour, and my God, it's like the crowd was like, and that my heart was like. It like took a while for that to calm down, holding that energy in space. And then I slept a lot last week, but then Thursday night I had this really vivid dream. And sometimes you remember things, but I was being shown 3 colours, and they felt very symbolic. So when I woke up like on 11:11, I've got these beautiful colours, and there was purple, gold and blue, and I think that tied in like with the indigo as well. So I feel like it's a bit, I'm getting some more information about what it's about, but ever since then I'm sort of like, it's been like, okay, Kim, you've had your rest, now you need to help others. And I've done 3 lots of flower healing since Friday. Have you found it, Janine? And I'll talk a bit more in a little while. about my flower healing, how I do it, where I do it, the benefits, the beauty of it, etc. I'm in my goddess dress because I've been healing this morning. So here we are. We're in my. Okay, over to you, Janine.
Right, so it's indigo dreaming. Under a blood moon night, I tango to its tune to gain insight, following its rhythm so divine, encapsulating the vibration, wild yet sublime. I surrender, immerse into the blue, diving down to the depths to discover what's true. The lunar light illuminates lack and limitation, the fantasies, illusions, all imitation. I create the pain, discomfort, unease, the shame, and the needing to please. I sense a feminine presence holding a nurturing space, whilst the alchemizing of the old takes place. I feel solace in the silence, in the twilight hue, cleansed of the past now, embracing the new.
That's beautiful. Thank you. As soon as you started, I thought, oh yeah, I remember this. It's just deep. It's beautiful. It's rich. And I thought I'll read my lavender poem. So lavender is not as deep a colour. Tony Ann says that's lovely. Can you read the comments? I'm not sure.
Me?
Yes.
No, I can't. No.
Okay. So Tony Ann says that's lovely. She's still watching us.
Thank you.
So, like, I just seen you do. This is my lavender poem. Actually, this one's not very long, to be honest. But for me, lavender is third eye. The guardian is, and I'm taking this from the book, Guy's Healing Garden. And it's third eye and crown. And the key words are joy, purification, and spiritual growth. And my poem is fields upon fields of shades of mauve. Walks she along the rows of sparkling purple haze. Out of her eye she spies sprites flitting from one petal to another. Mind fills with calming glow, no escaping the aromatic flow. Lavender fields of mauve. So it's not very long, but it's
beautiful. That.
Thank you, darling. It's like my connection to the lavender flower and just how it feels. Yeah. So, have you had any more inspiration come in since then, or any more coming from it?
I'm still getting inspiration, not necessarily, well, not from that picture, but I suppose the indigo is still present and still assisting. I mean, I wasn't like I was purposely connecting into the indigo. It just sort of came through. Like I suppose, like yourself in that dream, you got those colours through. So, but yeah.
Tony Ann says she uses essential oils. Is that different from flower water? Yes. The flower water is made like out of the distilled water, but the essential oils have taken, I think with lavender particularly, they take the oils out of the stem and they're crushed and the oil, and then they're mixed with water and the oils are taken from the flower. But what's left over, what the water they don't use for the essential oils, have this byproduct of water that's used, that's the floral water. And you can use them in tonics and they're in different base cosmetic things like toners, etc. Or like a spray, like for hydrating water. So it's like the floral water, the flower water is a byproduct from extracting, getting the proper words, from extracting the essential oils. I think they use steam, and then the floral water is that byproduct from that process. Hey, I could think about it. There you go. Very good question, Tony Ann. Yeah. So like in my healing, I recommend using either the essential oils, teas, using the flowers, using. Now, there's the other thing. Essential oils is extracting. I think it's using steam in a big pressurized container, like a big copper thing, to take the essential oil out. But there's also essential flower essences, which they're so simple to make. And I tell you how to make them in the book. You take a flower and you put them in water and you put them in the sun, usually for about a day in the sunlight, and then you strain them and mix them with an alcohol, and that holds the essence of the flower and the flower essence. So they're quite different, how you get those two different products from flowers. Have you got any more questions, Tony? Or Tony Ann? Just see if she posts anything else. Oh, we've got somebody else watching. Hi. We've come to talk about the energy that was coming in last week that we're both connecting to in different ways. No, she hasn't. No, thank you. About it, we had indigo colour come in last week, Janine did, and I had purple and gold and blue. So different things. Yeah, so Janine's been showing us a picture, and you do different types of art, don't you, Janine? You do your spirit art drawings. You've done a couple for me before,
Yeah.
Can you talk us through how that process works and how you do that?
Just let me. I'll just get a picture and then I can just sort of showcase. I won't be a sec. Right, this is one I did. You can see it quite a while, a number of weeks ago now.
That's nice. Can you tell us about her, or it doesn't matter if that's private, but just generally
it's not.
about the process?
It was one that came through for myself, but it was also she wanted to be shared online, like as a for the collective, to give a message. So I can't remember her name. What she's called? Stella, I think she's called. This guy.
Yeah.
And she was. So how it works is that I connect. It depends on what people want, because I can do like spirit guides, I can do past lives, I can do archangels, elementals like dragons and elves.
Yeah,
masters.
You've done me a dragon before, and a
dragon,
goddess.
Yeah.
I'm one of the spirit guides.
And so I connect with my artist guide, who she sort of is my eyes, and she sees these aspects of consciousness, I call them, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then she will draw. She's like draws through me, like this one I've done here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in pastel on some cartridge paper.
Yeah.
And what normally happens is I usually sort of start getting some little images and information about the guide to share with the recipient. And then I will also sort of do a reading for the recipient, depending on whether they've given me some like questions or I usually do like a reading around colours, as I was just mentioning before, because the colours have so much wisdom with them. Mm-hmm. And usually there's like colours that I apply onto the portrait. There isn't many colours on this one because it wasn't for a particular person. It was just, as I say,
she was bringing a message through. Face, hasn't she?
She was from the 1950s. Well, this is her incarnation, and
she had a bit of a look about the Queen, about a bit weird. Thinking, where have you got that?
She was just coming through to share a message about, in the 1950s, how they didn't really express themselves. They kept the emotions inside, the feelings inside, and it was very much like a appearance and politeness and all this. But like in the background, all sorts was going on. She was bringing this message through to share with everybody, to say, stop, don't live with that 1950s mentality. So that was what she was trying to bring through, because she'd sort of been abused in that life by her husband, because everything was all hunky-dory, like they've got all the mod cons and everything, and
but behind the scenes, your life was
behind the scenes. Yeah, so she was bringing that message through, and this is sort of thing that can come through. But obviously, if I'm doing a portrait for a client, a customer, it's very personal to them and relatable to their own issues or problems, or they just want to sort of perhaps gain more information. I mean, the actual readings I do are not like predictive readings, they're more just like guidance. So like saying, oh, you need to connect to your intuition, or just giving suggestions to do things that can help that person to grow and expand or change or whatever.
So Janine, how can we find out about your, if somebody's listening would like a past life drawing done, or some spirit art, or connecting with one of their guides, how can they get in touch with you?
You can go to my website, which is www.janinerosekeall.com, or you can go directly to my Etsy shop where you can order portraits, which is TriStar Art. So I mean, perhaps
we'll post those links again underneath. So if anybody wants to get in contact with you, I fully recommend anyone to have. I've had one of my guides, a guide done, haven't I? A couple of guides.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, a few actually, and because it helps you. Like I can, as clairvoyant say, connect with my guides spiritually and sort of see them, but I don't see all the detail you get. That isn't like within my skill set. Tony Ann said that she makes mandala art based on chakras. That's interesting. I've seen a few people do that. Yeah, yeah. So I fully recommend, if you wanted like a lovely gift for yourself for a birthday. Yeah. I think I've had one done before for a birthday, or a gift for a friend or something. It's a lovely thing to have and treasure. And you do them like on paper, don't you? But you also do them digitally.
I can do them digitally, and so that saves on like messing about with postage, because especially at the moment, because I know there's a lot of strikes on in the post.
But then people can take them to, if they've got a good printer, they could take them out with a local printer and get things printed there, and then you can get them framed. I was going to get my dragon framed, because it's nice to have them around, but have them work in a sort of healing area, get them out and bring their energy in that way.
I usually do the readings via email so that you can get it straight away. And I usually always give a copy of the actual image as well. So if you are waiting for it in the post, you can still see it and you get the reading straight away whilst you're waiting for the actual original image. So I say you don't have to wait around so much. But I've also got some offers of a gift certificate as well. So if you wanted to,
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Give a gift to somebody, they can just, whether you want to sort of choose the listing that I am on one of the offerings I have on my Etsy shop, or let them choose. It's entirely up to you. But it's a nice thing to do for Christmas or any like special occasion.
Yeah, because if you've got like a spiritual friend who's really into all the things like we're into, etc., or even if they're starting out spiritually and they've got lots of questions and things, it's really good to have a reading and sometimes with a guide, or in fact there's so many different types of art that you do, like the different channeling. But when you're like getting like a new guide come in, etc., and you're thinking, I've just got this new energy, I really want to like feel from it. But Janine's lovely that she gets in deeper, can get you an image so you can work with that. It's just a beautiful gift to have.
Yes, like it's great focus, you know, because it's, I find it's the easier way to actually connect with your guide. It's to already know, have an image of them. It's easier to sort of connect in with them, because the energy is actually impregnated into the picture of that guide. So when you're actually looking at it, you're starting to connect in naturally, without too much effort, if you will. So you can put it, if you put it in a frame in a quiet place where you sort of tend to like do your meditations or whatever, then you can just look at the guide and then just, you know, connect in, and you've got that, I said, the energy's there, their energy's already there, present. So it's so much easier to, and it's wonderful to have that focus. I mean,
I've got this picture here that Kerry Dawes did for me, and I keep it here on here, and this is called like Into the Light, and it's like it's a piece of art with all flowers and just go into the light. And I really ought to sort this backspace out, but I just keep it on here when I'm doing my audios, when I'm doing my Zoom and things. So it just reminds me like this just beautiful white light, white flame, you know, universal energy is just flowing through the wall, through the flowers. And it does make a difference having this visual art, doesn't it? I shall have to post, sorry, something's clicked on it. I shall have to post my pictures, I have to find them. Because I don't know if you're anything like me. You have them all on the internet, like all, not necessarily the internet, but stored online, stored on your computer, on your phone. And then I was like, then you sort of, you know, sometimes it's good to get them printed off and have them around rather than just stored electronically, because they sort of, you know, it's good to sort of connect in with them, isn't it? I love art though. Somebody asked me last week, "Are you an artist?" Because I think I'd met them on Facebook, and I thought no, but I have a lot of friends who are. I'm quite drawn to artists. I've got my strange painting I did last week. We don't really need to see that because I just threw paint here, threw paint on paper. So I can't say, but I was thinking about Mary Magdalene's cave last week. So it could be a depiction of all this with water element, and then it could be maybe a cave, but I can't really tell you what it was. I just mixed paint for the first time in ages and just created it. But I think when I look closely, that was not very good, Kim.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't agree, because just because it doesn't look like anything, it's more about the energy. And I think that's what was depicted in your picture.
I think this was when this was when we were connecting with Sinai, so it's very mountainous, and it probably is the colours of the desert, to be honest.
Yeah. You know, well, like Egypt's like that sand colour, isn't it? So you've got like the sand colour in there. Yeah. But all those colours will be significant.
And there's gold in it, and it felt like it needed to be circular. And I just literally went into my summer house, put some paints out, and just, to be honest, I normally mix them. That could have been a difference because I like mixing paint. I just painted for about half an hour, probably not even that long, and I just felt something that was within me was in this painting. You know, there's something in there. Maybe it's that way on. It's quite different that way on, isn't it?
Turn it upside down.
Hey?
Turn it upside down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with that picture, it's very much about the energy. You know, it's like there's like a flow to it.
There is a flow, and I think these dots needed to happen, but it feels like it was very much in flow.
Do you know what's coming to me looking at that picture is that, you know how at the moment it's like very dry there. And you said, like, to me when you were telling me about this event, how or this place, I should say, how so about 3,000 years ago it would have had a lot. It would have been so different. It would have been very. It would have been like very luscious and like more greenery and all.
Yeah.
All this sort of thing. And after it's sort of depicting that it wants to be like that again. It's like it wants to come through, because you've got those dots of blue, which is like the water wants to come back into that place.
Yeah, but there is a well.
Return to that place.
There's like a well within this place called St. Catherine, like this monastery, but it feels like it wanted rainfall and water. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it really wants to get that nourishment back into that place again.
Yeah.
That it once had. And that's what it's trying to come through in your picture.
Yeah, maybe with it wanting to say 1,000 women there, it wanted to bring the divine feminine back, because, well, with Mount Sinai, it's like Moses went up the mountain, probably about, not sure exactly when, probably 4,000 years ago, and then he came down, and I realised when I've got the book here somewhere, when I'd read some more of the book, there used to be a Hathor, Hathor temple right at the bottom of the mountain, and there were little temples, and they were dedicated to Hathor because she was like the Egyptian goddess, and like of the mining, and she was also called Lady Turquoise, and they mined turquoise, the turquoise like mineral more than crystal. They mine that on this peninsula sort of area in Egypt. And I think they also mined copper as well. So I've got all these things going on. But when Moses came down, I think he told his followers off because they were worshipping the calf, and that would be Hathor. And he said, no, God, Yahweh, I can never say his name, you know what I mean, who they call the male god. We have to worship him as a single male god. And that was the basis of Christianity, Muslim, Judaism first, coming from what Moses has said. So like the feminine, we didn't worship the feminine gods then, not in this part of the world. So it made a massive change. And now like we've had the rise of the divine feminine, and it's coming back into balance. What they said was interesting was that the people that were on the top of Sinai, there was as many men as women, and they found that quite interesting. But we have got this beautiful sacred union energy coming in. Now the divine feminine is rising, we're waking up, we're standing in our power again. And that's changed so much from when your guide was saying, like, in the 50s, like I remember when my mum was like getting married in the 60s, unless you had money, you couldn't really be single. And, not many people went to university, and you didn't get equal pay. So you got married because that would be the way forward. But your life was like your husband, was the boss. You cook for him, you clean for him.
Yeah, your servant.
We've both got some people a bit like that in our lives. But yeah, so thank you. I think I like it this way. I think the colours do feel quite vibrant, don't they?
I think the thing that we on that night when we were doing that, involved in that event, I mean, there was a lot of fire, there was a lot of heat.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like really, I was like burning up that day, that night. And I think with that picture, what you're showing is that, you were saying about there was a lot of male dominance.
Yes.
Which I think is like the fire side of it.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, well, the feminine's trying to come in. So that blue that's coming in that picture is very much like, well, it's going to be shifting. That's like that fire.
I painted that one first.
It's like that's like a volcano, like.
I know, that's the one I painted first, and that was like connecting with the mountain and all this, the burning bush of fire.
Yeah.
And then I painted this one. So this was like harmony and flow coming back in, isn't it?
Yeah, and the water. So like instead of it just being about fire and the which is very masculine, it's like that water, which is like saying it's that balance of the feminine, which is the water, the blue, is starting to come in more. And I think with us doing the work that we did on that night, it's like along with all those other people that are present there, it's sort of creating that balance again between the water and the fire energy.
Yeah, because that's what we need, that balance. That's what we need as just as individuals and collectively in the world. We need that balance. Oh, what did Tony answer? She said it looked like a portal, and she said the top part reminds her of the number 7. That's that one, I think, that bit reminds her, she said, of the number 7. But like I always feel like the 7, we were connecting, let's think about it, with the Pleiades, and there are 7 sisters of the Pleiades. So they were quite poignant in the sky, and we were connecting with their energy, so it's interesting. So I won't discard it. I just, like you created a beautiful face, I just created madness, wildness, but it felt like it was fast. I probably painted these 2 pictures in 20 minutes. So I thought I need to try and, but then I didn't need to try and do anything. This is what I was doing.
But I mean, that's the thing about like spirit art, and it doesn't have to be necessarily something that's a portrait. It can be like just like symbols or patterns or colours, and what you've done there, and it's showing the energy, and it's showing that how it's presenting itself, like in that second picture is like flow.
Like, even like this, I suppose I could do like I've done before, like chakra drawings. Like I've taken like black paper and then drawn the aura, aura painting. So like in this life, even with this, I used to do drawings. I used to draw a little body of someone, then get pastels out and put where the colours were. So I can't do the detail of the art that I can if I try. I can't. I'm not the same artist as you, but I can express. I can do expression.
But that's the whole point. That's what's really important. It isn't really about the appearance. It's not about the appearance of something, because even those pictures that I do that have like, they look more realistic. In truth, they're just a focus, because they're all just aspects of consciousness. And then they can change in every given moment. I could do that being again, and they come through completely different, because they're just showing you in that moment what they choose how to be. But nothing is fixed. Nothing. No. There's no being that has a fixed image. They're always.
It's like sometimes we see our guide as a red Indian, but then
it could change.
My guide I see normally as a lady who lives in the woods, but she comes in different guises.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you were talking, I'm not awful for this, but I just felt some parts of it, I just added loads of water. When you're mixing your paint, I just had loads of water in some aspects of it. It just felt, even though you're probably more like round the edges, but I know some areas I just got water on the brush. And at one time, I didn't really, anyway, but it was just, but it's in. I was thinking we perhaps have to do a workshop where people all paint something.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd love to do that. It's just intuitive art. I mean, this is another thing I do, like the intuitive art. And this is what
about that afterwards. We perhaps do one next week. We could perhaps do 2 hours or something, or do it on Zoom. We could perhaps do it on Zoom, and everybody just get some watercolor or whatever they've got. We'll plan that and do like a couple of hours, and then afterwards we can give you the intuition that we're getting from your art.
Or they could do their own. They could do. They could even pick up what they think how it is for them as well. Because this is a really good thing to do, because and I'm actually, I wanted to mention as well, I've got an event on this weekend.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
It's called Interactive. It's a free interactive art play event, which is creating art that you can actually interact with, in the sense of creating mini pieces of art. Do you know, like the children's construction toys where you can slot them together? They've got like little slots on the edges, and you can create these different constructs. Not like as such, they're more like flat. I think they're hexagon shapes, and they have like slits in them, and you can slit them together to create all these different constructs. Well, I got the idea of using something like that, but actually putting artwork on it. So like simple mark making.
Well,
and then they can,
interesting.
And so they can then just
more like a collage of like different.
It's not, they're like little sculptures.
Ooh.
Just let me get me something. I'll show you quick.
Okay. Oh. Right, so I think Tony's still with us. Is it?
Right. So I've just made these little.
Oh yes, yes.
So the little tiny people on both sides. So it's just card, and then doing some like simple mark making on both sides, and then they've all got like slits in them.
Oh yes, I've seen them now. I think yes, and then yes.
Or you just slip them together, and it just then you can start creating these little sculptures. But the great thing is you can pull them apart and make something else. So this is like the way the interaction comes in. And this is I've aimed for like women who perhaps are really wanting to connect more strongly to their intuition, and but doing it in a playful and creative way.
So if I was at the workshop, will I be decorating and making the marks on my card?
Yes. Yeah, it's like very mindful art. So it's been very mind. It's a bit like an active meditation, if you will. So you.
I went on something like this before. Like we went to this wood place, and then we were mindfully drawing leaves. This is just an example. Mindfully drawing leaves on different bits of card and drawing them, trying to draw them without looking at them from memory or without That sounds good fun. Is that this weekend?
Saturday on Zoom. I've got a link. I can put the link in as.
Oh yeah, please do.
Well.
Yes,
yeah,
that sounds great.
And then if people are interested, they can register. So it's on Zoom at 2 o'clock.
What time is it?
2 o'clock on Saturday on Zoom.
Oh, I might be free Saturday. That's the.
It's
19th.
Free. I say no, you don't have to pay for this. It's completely free. It should be up for about a couple of hours to an hour and a half.
What materials we need to provide?
It'll be like cardstock. I mean, I'm just using white cardstock, and all you really need is a black pen. But if you want to use like pencil crayons or felt tips or whatever, you can do that, because we're just making simple marks. And then you need some scissors, perhaps a pen and a pencil and a ruler.
Quite a nice activity, like maybe people older and do with their children and things, or the grandchildren.
Yeah, it's so simple. It's very, very simple. It doesn't require a lot of artistic skill. It's just a willingness to have a go, really, and it is fun. And you can, and the great thing about this is you can just do so many different things with it. These are just like squares, but you can do different shapes.
Like you could do like flowers, couldn't you, or birds? I'm just throwing something.
Well,
it'd be a bit complicated.
I mean, like the drawings, or you can't. I mean, I suppose you could do a bird shape if you wanted to, but I'm just keeping the shape simple so that you can do the slots and fix them together. But that's the idea. But it's really simple and it's really fun, and that's the key.
I think what I found is when you're getting into painting and things, or anything like art or card making or anything, you just step in flow, don't you?
Yeah. And you're working from the same brain hem, the right side of your brain, which is all connected to like meditations and the intuition and everything. So the creativity uses that same side of the brain. So when you're doing anything like that, you are actually tapping in to the intuition and to and again when we're talking about the indigo color, this is again you're tapping into the intuition. So that indigo color will be coming in when you're doing something creative, because it's I say tapping into that side of the brain, and that's when you start receiving information, and it's quite amazing. This is how it all started for me, because I started doing art journaling. And
I did an art course like online. That was like, I don't know if I finished it, but it was like like those things on probably Excellence, the sort of like an online course that and it was like an art therapy one, and it was fantastic. It was lovely.
Well, this is a form of art therapy, but I'm not a therapist. I'm just an artist. I don't wish to mislead people.
No, I
but
know
it's still it's very therapeutic, you know,
Yeah.
because it helps you to calm. If you are stressed, you feel anxiety,
calm
then
and
art is a
relaxing.
fantastic way of you know, quietening the mind, calming your nervous system down, and doing something simple like this is really fantastic, because you're not putting any pressure on yourself to actually think, oh, I must create a masterpiece.
Yeah.
People get this in the brain that they must actually always do things perfectly and always be masterpiece. You know, it must be a masterpiece to put on the wall or an exhibition, and it's not like that. Art isn't actually meant to be like that. Really, it's meant to be used for tapping in, for healing, and for tapping into the intuition, and for heal. You know, for it's another way of getting to know yourself, really, because really the soul is very creative. The soul is so playful and creative.
Like the more you tap into yourself, the more creative you become.
Exactly.
I get like ideas after ideas after ideas after
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
And then I have to sort of make a note and I try not to dismiss anything, because the magic might be in anything that I'm being given, you know, and it's true, but then I have to sort of focus in on a bit and then put the other to come back to. Yeah. I think when you're more in flow, you do get these ideas, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Because you are so relaxed. You know, normally if you're in your normal day-to-day things, particularly if you're working, you've got that pressure there. And what we tend to do is put these sort of facades up.
Yeah.
And those facades sort of block the that connection with the soul. You know, because you have to be or you think you have to be a certain way, that it sort of blocks or prevents you from really tapping into accessing the soul. But when you're in that relaxed state, when you're in that receptive state, that's when you start receiving. That's when you start to pick up the information, whether that's for art or whatever it may be, for writing, or for anything, any aspect of your life, really. You start to get that information because you've no longer got those barriers in the way. So this is why
when I was teaching full time, it was like at the week, you know, at the half term. In the summer, I used to be so spiritual, you know, and then maybe at the times when you've got a couple of weeks off, but otherwise, you've got your business suit on, you've like got your glasses on, you've got the facade of being in control, know exactly what you're doing, you're planned up for the whole year, you know how to deal with the kids, and then I always wished I was teaching art, because I used to go in the art room, you know, and I used to love that sort of energy in the art room, etc. Or in the cooking room, and that creativity thing. But I used to teach business studies, so I love the marketing side. That was creative and enterprise. But then other aspects, you've got this armor plating on, and now I'm just the goddess self. I'm so far more relaxed and just, you know, you'll probably find this when you listen to me post. I have so much coming in all the time. And now I have moved through that block, which Janine knows, of actually putting pen to paper and producing something more. Whereas before I was getting things coming in, and it was like they were getting into a bottleneck. They were just all going into like a bottle, but not actually, you know. I'll just show you, like say say like a bottle. I've got a bottle. Say like, and all these ideas are all coming in this bottle, but they were all stuck in there, you know, like a deep well, but not going anywhere. And now, because I don't know if it's quite like this, but I think it's more like this. I get loads coming in every direction, and I'm spreading my light and love out in so many different ways, you know, sort of like, if that makes sense.
But that's the great thing about the art, is that you know, if you are feeling a bit stuck or stagnant, you know, you feel repressed, the art can help to relieve it, you know. It can, because once you start doing like this stuff, those pictures you've showed before, you're just totally expressing, just letting go, not caring about how it's going to turn out, just wanting to get it on the paper.
Yeah, it just felt like that. Mix this colour, no, get this colour, didn't it? Just felt like just fill the pain.
Just let it come out the way it wants to come out. Not trying to have preconceived ideas.
Take some time to go and express, and then often the colours you get are the colours you're working with as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like,
or they can surprise you. Actually, you don't know. Sometimes something will come out and think, "Oh, right, okay." Yeah. But this is a great thing with this sort of art, the intuitive art, is you don't always know. It's like you're just diving into the unknown, and this is a great thing because we tend to want to control things and manage things. But when you're doing the art like that, like yourself, or this what I did in my journal, I wasn't planning it. I wasn't like saying, "Oh, I want this." Like in the normal way of art, you sort of have like you focusing on composition, perspective, the depth and shadow work and all this sort of thing. But with this sort of art, it's about just allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to actually just let go and express without any worry about the outcome of it. And it's amazing what actually comes through when you do that, when there's no... I had to retrain myself when I came to do the spirit art because, as I say, I went to art college and they teach you a certain way to do things because... but when you're doing the actual spirit art, it's not about that. It's about letting go and just... When I first start doing the portraits, I normally use my non-dominant hand and sort of doodle first to see how the face wants to come out, how it wants to position itself. If I do it with my right hand, if I do it with my dominant hand, it will be too stiff because I'm trying to control it. So I start with my left hand and then see what comes out, and then I'll use my right hand for the detail to start bringing it out. And so it's always surprise, like an element of surprise, and like it evolves as you're going along. But particularly with the intuitive art, with like in the journaling or what you've done, Ken, it's more just...
There wasn't like a purpose. I just went in the shed.
Yeah, it's like an adventure on a page.
It was all to do with the energy of us meeting with Sinai. And like I say, the first one was the mountain and the bush and the fire, or like the bush on fire. But the second one was just flow. Actually, there does look like there's a bit of an eye in it. Like, if you look here, there's a bit of an eye there. And I kept thinking, why is it like that? But that bit's like an eye.
Yeah.
The eye within the stalk, within the mountain.
But like you say, it does look a bit like a portal as well that you could enter into.
I think it was a bit like, there is a cave, I think, and I've arranged for us, Philip, my husband and I, to go back to France next year, and we're going to go to Rennes-le-Château and Carcassonne, and a bit more of my Mary Magdalene pilgrimage. So I was very much aware of sort of Magdalene, and that energy, so that's when I was sort of like, it was mainly about the Sinai energy and women coming together and holding that space, and the eclipse and the moon, Yeah, right. So, can you just tell us again about how we can get in touch with you if people wanted to book a spirit art, a reading with you, and then we will post the links later.
Yeah, it's my website is www.janinerosekeall.com, or you can go to my Etsy shop, which is TriStar Art. That's TriStar is a one word.
Is that TRISTAR?
Yes.
Yeah, TriStar. Yeah. And tell us a bit. Just tell us again about your workshop on Saturday afternoon.
It's going to be on Zoom at 2:00 on Saturday afternoon. So you would if you want to click and register, it gives you all the details of what you need to bring.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you. Yeah, so, and I'm sure that's. Are you doing any more workshops like that? Have you got any more planned at the moment?
I am intending to perhaps try and do some like play dates in the after depending on how this goes on Saturday and how people respond to it and whatever, and if people have enjoyed it, then I am thinking of doing more of them, but like introducing different types of techniques to enrich their little creations, or they can do variations of them, And it's at the same time they're learning about these different art techniques, which are really simple, very childlike, which I say they're not, you don't need a great skill for them, but it's really effective when you're coming to do creating art. But the main aim is really sort of, to have fun and to
relax.
It's like an introduction to connecting to the intuition and starting to really hone in on your creative fire, sort of really igniting that creative fire.
Yeah, and I think we've all been fired up since last week. We've just had a fire.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like learning to follow the breadcrumbs of your intuition. And when I got inspired to do this interactive art, and what I found was when I started to follow those promptings, like I suppose the same with yourself, Kim. If you follow them, if you honor those promptings, it's amazing how you get, like, the next step will be shown. That's the way the intuition works. It works step by step by step. It's not like showing you the big picture. It's just like, if you follow that step, you'll get the next step, and you get the next step. And
I didn't realize it would ever work like that. It's like you get a bit, and then, like I got with Hathar's Ruby Ray Flame, and then you get a bit more, and then you accept that and you deal with it, and then they give you another layer and another upgrade and something else.
But I was finding I was just getting different ideas that you could, different variations of this one simple activity. Once I'd honored that prompting, it said, right, well, why don't we try this? And it really helps you to develop your curiosity. And I think that's been really crushed over time.
Word. And like I feel like curiosity, get in flow, and just be connected, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we really need.
Like have fun as well, because then, when you say like no expectations of yourself, like there's nobody judging you. I feel like a lot of time it's what you think somebody else is going to judge you.
You're comparing yourself against somebody else, and you're like trying to compete with other people. But this isn't about that at all. It's just you discovering about yourself, and it's wonderful. And art's a wonderful way of doing that. I mean, I did when I was going through the dark night of the soul, and I did this. I was prompted to do this art journal, and maybe I could, in the next session, I could talk about this art journal I've got. It's massive. And this is how it changed my life. It was like a vision board in a book, and like the soul was just emptying itself out in these pages. And that's how because I was working in childcare at the time, and then it all changed, and this journal changed it.
That's like me. I was working in education. It's like, but now we're sort of in a different form of education. But what we're doing is much needed. And like when you say like the dark night of the soul, I've not done it in sort of a vision board, but I've gone through a sort of energetically healing different things within myself. And then you heal one thing and you think you've emptied yourself out, and then you find something else that was hidden. Like they get rid of something that was obvious, but below that was hiding something else. And that's been fascinating.
It's like layers, isn't it? You remove one layer, and then there's another one comes up. It's like an ongoing process. It's never ending, really.
Pure light, I think.
I mean, we've held up so many facades and barriers and walls that it's not going to be a 5-minute thing that it all just comes down. So it's like, we have to do it in stages, because if we had tried to do it all at once, it'd be just absolutely overwhelming. We wouldn't be able to cope.
I was reading about this week, and I shared something in the White Temple, the other group in my group, that it was like when we've been through the pain and we've healed ourselves and we've found out how we've healed ourselves, we can help other people.
You can share it.
It might not be exactly the same way for them, but it can give them the insight that actually you've made it through. I'm not stuck here on this wall. I can find a way of taking the wall down. Because some people feel they're absolutely trapped by their own wall that's there, which often the mind is constructed, but then they can see, well, there is a way out, and we can, we have different coping mechanisms, or just different ways that we just break that wall down. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
like the art is a one way of doing it, you know. I'm not as many ways.
Yeah, because like I use meditation and voice and calling in the energy. I work that way, and then you work with the art, and then we overlap in bits, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, poetry and song I love as well. So
I
that's
like
another way.
poetry. You know, like I love that when like the poetry comes in one bit of my brain, and then when I was writing the spiritual guidance, that comes in another bit here somewhere, and it's like different. I felt like it was different, a bit like a puppet here. Like when I was writing about the information, it's like this part of the brain. Say when I was getting the poetry, it's coming in, and then when you're getting other bits, it's all like it's like I had to, in the end, just write all the most of the meditations one after another because I could just stay in that one line of energy. And then, it's really weird. And the process of writing
Yeah.
and the process of you creating. Right. So, we've been on for an hour. Is anything just we want to say just to finish off?
You want me to say something?
Yeah. Have you got anything else to say to finish, or shall I just say, well, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining with us.
What I would say is that, follow your joys and your passions, because when you do that, especially if you're suffering with stress and anxiety, if you start following your passions and joys, that will help to reduce it will help to bring calm, help to bring peace, because you're starting aligning with your soul. So whatever it is for you, whatever you're interested in, whatever lights you up, then do it, because that will help you to start really trusting in your own soul, in your own intuition, and it will help you to reduce anxiety and stress.
I was thinking that when you were
having
talking
fun.
I think Rebecca Campbell said that what lights you up, that's what your purpose is, not what you think it is. It's what lights you up, and it's what gives you joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And to share that as well, share that joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really important. Not because you want to inspire others, but because when you share yourself, it's like it's so healing.
Yeah,
it's so healing for yourself.
And it does inspire others.
Well, it does as well. Yeah, there's a bonus.
It's not necessarily you sharing it, and then sometimes, you're sharing it to share the joy of life, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you've got any questions, we'll post the links about Janine's spirit artwork, about her workshop she's got on Saturday. It sounds really good and it's free. It's a couple of hours of really just tapping into yourself, and we'll share the links. Hi, Christine. Nice to see you. We're just signing off now. So until next time, bye from me.
Bye.